Welcome to RGBA, colorful tech news and reviews. This is episode 65. My name is Alexandre Valia-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler Ménard. So, not much follow-up this week. We basically have people still reviewing the recent Apple devices. No major reviews this week. Just people trying to understand more the developer tools, because we got an update, I think, early this week with the High Sierra update. So people are publishing the reviews of High Sierra. As explained, it's basically just a let's say the back office update, if you want. Everything's in the back is supposed to be faster, more reliable. There's a few new features in the different apps themselves, but the OS itself is basically unchanged. Did you do your updates yet?
I have the phone, the watch. I'm not even sure about the TV. And I did my laptop. I didn't do my work computer.
Okay, so yeah, I did my work computer, my TV, my phones, my iPads. So yeah, it's overall it's pretty nice. The only thing I have is still the iPhone with iOS 11. Even with the 0.1 update that they released, I was hoping for some little bug fix there, but it's basically just for people with Exchange accounts. So my phone is still unreliable. I've got audio glitches. I know I spoke about this last week, and I said I was gonna do a restore, but I haven't got around to it. Yesterday, though, I did the backup of all my photos and videos and everything, so now I only have like 100 photos left on my phone, and I'm gonna do this probably today. So
you take your pictures off your phone?
Yeah, I'm old like that. Reason is it's everything I do on my phone for editing, everything not on the phone, but I basically move everything to the computer, and that's where I do all my editing. And since I do 4K videos a lot, if I were to leave all those things on my phone, it would get like filled like in an instant. And I don't know if you ever had the problem of having your phone filled and then trying to view like something that was moved to iCloud photo, then you need to download it. But if it's a photo, it's fast. But if it's a video of like 4 gigs, it's not the best thing there is. So also my phone has a lot of media files on it. So video, movies, TV shows and everything. So I keep myself about 60 gigs of those. So I have about maybe 30 gigs of space for photos and videos. So I try to not fill the phone, because your phone goes very slow once it's filled. So I have about 30 gigs of buffer there. So yeah, that's the reason there. I know it's the old-fashioned way, doing either airdrops or image capture on the Mac to transfer my files, but that's the way I do it because I have such huge files on the device. HEIF and HEVC will probably help, meaning that I will be able to get more content in 4K than before, but still, I don't want to keep it on the phone like that.
I guess it's mostly videos, because I don't take much, so pictures don't really matter.
Yeah, pictures, it's easy with iCloud photo sharing. It's perfect, so but not for videos. The watch, though, it's pretty stable. The watch itself, it's slow, but that's because it's a Series 0 I have. But the rest, much more reliable. The battery is much better than during the betas. I can go to sleep with like 50-60% nowadays. The only thing I have in terms of problem with the watch is oftentimes I'm not even like playing like a podcast or music, and when I raise my wrist to look at the time, I see the now playing screen. That's just the little bug I have still, but it might just be like because the watch is slow and it's not fast enough to switch between the modes, and it did not react fast enough to the not having anything play.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep that feature. I think I'm gonna turn it off soon.
Yeah, it's bugging me also. It's not as reliable. It's like raising your wrist. Raising your wrist. Yeah, raise the witch. Raising your wrist to see the time. For me, maybe like every month, I do the reset, because it's like I raise my wrist and I exaggerate the movement just to tell the watch, hey, I want to see the time, but it doesn't even pop. So nowadays, I'm even developed the habit of just tapping my screen to see the time, which makes no sense for a watch. But then again, I'm sure it's because it's a Series 0 and it's just not fast enough to react. So yeah. So one thing that I saw during the last week is there was a post on the WebKit website, which is the open source browser engine that powers Safari, and they were explaining how to design a website for the iPhone X. During this week, I also installed Xcode and tried to load a bunch of websites on Safari using the iPhone X just to see how the notch behaves. And by default, you basically have pillars on both sides of your device, so the text doesn't go behind the notch. Unless you have a specific type of viewport fit argument, which allows you to cover the whole screen. So this way, it's like in the iPhone X ads when Apple was playing videos, you were seeing the video full screen, but you were also seeing the notch. It's the very same thing. This makes your website fill the screen, but you have the notch that usually goes over the content. So for that, they have like solutions called like the safe areas where you have new content in CSS, so you can adapt your website to leave a gap, or so that yourself you can move your element as if this was a special margin you could add, but you can still retain the background color to the whole screen. So that's one thing I might do for my site. I'll see how I can handle it. But yeah, it's not a big problem. This CSS thing doesn't work for other browsers, so this way you're not impacting any other web browsers from viewing your site. So it's just the iPhone X with the iOS 11. So it's pretty nice, interesting website.
I was wondering this week about the iPhone X. How do the apps look if you have, like, say the Tweetbot or Twitter? Would they have like the bottom bar is like a nav bar with a bunch of little tabs, or a tab bar, however you want to call it?
Yeah, tab bar.
How does it work with the home button thing?
The way
it's just laid over and it's over the text, because a lot of them have a little glyph and then a text on the bottom.
Yeah, if you look at this article for the websites, they also call it a safe area for the bottom, where there's like a gap that is considered like a safe area. And I'm guessing that if you just tap your tab bar button, which is just below the handle to swipe up to go back to the home screen, I'm guessing those tap events don't work. Unless it handles both swipe and tap on the same thing. If you tap, it understands that you want to tap the button behind, or there's a safe area. So I'm not sure exactly how this handles. I haven't built any app for the simulator yet, so I should probably try it. Do I have any apps? I think I have an old app with an old tab bar. I might try that, see how it works. But I'm hoping that they manage both events. So if you swipe, they understand that it's not the tab bar you want to hit, but the swipe to home. And if you tap, I'm guessing that they don't want you to tap this handle, because if I'm not wrong, on the iPhone X, when you tap this little handle, it does nothing, right? You really have to swipe for it to react. So this would mean that you would tap through to the tab bar buttons. That's my understanding, though.
Okay, I'm playing with the simulator right now, and if you look at the Watch app, it has the nav bar at the bottom there, and the little icons are like a bit higher than the how's it called, the thing at the bottom, the new home thing,
the handle. I don't know how. Yeah, I will call this swipe to home handle thingy.
Home indicator.
Yeah. Let me load that thing too. iOS 11, iPhone X. This makes for great podcasting.
Or you can see it on the Files application also.
Yeah. Give it some time. It's loading. Okay, so using the Files apps, I can see that around the handle, there's like a dead zone.
Yeah.
Where if you click around the handle, there's nothing happening. You really have to go much further, almost to the icon, to actually register. So the tap area basically seems to be restricted to the icons now, instead of being restricted to like 50% of the tab bar for each of the two icons. So that's weird. I'm not sure if it's how it works. Well, no, not true. If you go maybe to the first top third of the icons from the tab bar and you click, you can actually, once you cross across the 50% line, it does get registered. So I'm guessing there's an area around the handle that is dead, but not everything, like not just the icons. So it's hard to explain, but basically consider the handle like a dead area around it. So if you tap around it, it won't do nothing. But if you go a bit higher and you get close to the edge of the tab bar, the top edge of the tab bar, then you can click like around the 50% mark and it's going to register both buttons. Interesting. Oh, okay. And Safari. Yeah, Safari basically just raises the icons on the back for the back forward and like the tabs button and the export button. They are basically just above this handle. So you basically lose some of the screen real estate in the end. Interesting. So moving on to open source, since we are deep down in developer talks, you sent me a link yesterday about the open source section of Apple's website.
Yeah, so last night late they released a bunch of stuff regarding all the old iOS, all the way to iOS 10. So I think the further down you go, like the older you go, the more stuff is included. But they released mostly like the WebKit from every iOS, and they have a GCC. I think it's garbage controller or garbage collection something.
No, GCC, it's the GNU C compiler.
Okay, okay.
And they also have like a GDB, which is a GNU database thingy. And they also have like make tools and some lib for icon-v and stuff like that. And yeah, they have like WebKit and WebKit 2, which is weird for the most recent versions. And they also have something called so that's nice.
And what?
WTF. iOS 10.3.3. WTF. And if you look at the macOS, that's where you have like a lot more open source stuff. So each and every little package that they use from the open source community, they have to report and they have to list their use, basically their version and everything. So that's to be in compliance with the licensing. That's what you have to do. So they probably have like a few hundreds of these on macOS, but on iOS, it's basically just like 4 or 5 things. So it's a much made in-house if you want.
It's just weird that they updated this out of the blue without a release or anything.
Well, they usually do it like soon after the release. And I'm guessing that in this case, because 10.13 was released last week, they had to comply like soon after with the list. So that's probably when they just told their engineers to just like list or they probably have like a software for that because they have too many right now. It's probably not done by hand. List all of the open source things you have and add them to the open source website from Apple. So it's interesting though to see everything that's being used. So what did you send me? Like iPhone Plus versus 7 versus X. Yeah, so it's very similar to the Plus size, slightly longer, but not wider. Basically as wide as the regular 7. So this tells me that the discussion people had recently about thinking that the iPhone X is a sweet spot between the 7 and the 7 Plus, and that people on the 7 Plus will now love the X because it's as big as it is, but on the smaller form factor, is not really true. Basically, you do have vertical real estate a bit more than you have on your 7, but it's very close to what you have on the Plus. So you don't gain vertically, and horizontally you basically lose from the Plus. So if you're used to the wider screen, let's say for example the keyboard, if you're used to that, then you're going to lose some size there. So it's going to be much smaller in your hands, much closer to the 7. Can you send me a screenshot of the X over the 7 to see the width? I'm curious.
Sure.
I don't want to start the simulator again.
I have to open mine again.
Oh, it was closed now. Okay. I started to like really that little swipe up to go back home. At first, I thought I was not gonna like it, but just playing with the simulator a few minutes yesterday, I had the realization that I really like it. The thing I don't think I like as much is the swipe down from the ears. That seems to be weird for me. So I added one thing in the notes regarding Equifax. Did we cover that in the past? I'm not even sure we even mentioned it.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, okay. So Equifax basically got hacked, like we all know, and they leaked 100 and something million details of individuals. Soon after, I researched this news to understand why they were hacked, how this did happen, And basically, they were using a framework for their Java development, and one of their frameworks had a bug which was basically exploitable to get access to the servers. And they basically did not patch in time, and people were smashing them, saying that they suck because they don't do their work, they don't take security seriously and everything. And I wondered, like, how exactly does everything happen? And I kind of got wind of a mailing list where somebody basically did a whole timeline of the events without going over the 12 steps of what happened and when. Basically, the 6th of March, Apache announces a struts bug. Struts was the framework that they were using. So on the 6th of March, they announced the bug. On the 7th of March, Apache releases the proof of concept exploit. So whenever a company like Apache has a bug on their system, they release a what's it called? This not an announcement, but some kind of letter, if you want, explaining what the problem is and how to exploit it. But at this point, normally they should have already fixed the problem. But the thing is that only 3 days later, so the 10th of March, which is 3 days after they released the exploit, Equifax was already compromised by somebody. So some kind of genius hacker basically was able to hack the servers and get all the data. So they only had 3 days to patch everything, which for me makes no sense. Usually in the open source community, when there's such a problem that occurs, they release a warning that there's a problem. But at this point, they already patched it a while back. So if you're following the updates of your software, you can usually patch it rapidly, and you have a couple weeks, if not months, to basically update your stuff. I'm not sure what was the release schedule for this bug, but basically, from what I see, in under 4 days, they announced the bug, gave a way to exploit it, and somebody did exploit it. So that sucks, because Equifax couldn't have the time in 3 days to patch all their systems, test the change on all their environments, do the deployment on every environment. Like me, that doesn't take 5 minutes. Sometimes it's a whole day for 1 or 2 sites, then it can be a couple more days. So we don't know how many tools they have. Maybe they have 5 internal tools and maybe 5 external tools, and all 10 must be patched. And so the guy can take 5, 6, 10 days to do. So I feel bad for them, basically, knowing what they must have endured. And maybe they were, I don't know, I haven't read the whole shebang of what happened, but I'm guessing that they probably knew, and they probably tried to do their due diligence and deliver the fix. But in 3 days, man, it's way too hard to get to. So yeah, I still don't like that Equifax as a company exists, a single entity with all our financial information at one single place. It's way too sweet of a honeypot for hackers. So that's not a good idea right off the bat.
It's a bit weird also. I find that Apache didn't release the patch before. I don't get it, really.
Yeah, I need to research that more, but usually the patch is released a long time before they release the warning, and they call those CVE, Common Vulnerability and Exposures. That's what they release. That's the paper that they released saying, okay, this is a bug that is affecting this software, and that's how you can test to see if you have a system that is compromisable, and this is how you can compromise your system. So, but that happens usually a few weeks, if not months, after the patch was released. So I'm really not sure what happened there with struts. So moving on to a lighter side of things, we have 2 little news stories I want to share. In the entertainment side of things, so we got an update to Super Mario Run this week. Basically a new mode, which is called Remixed End. It's you basically run through very, very short levels. I think they're 3 or 4 screen wide, so very small. Try to get 3 coins, of course, 3 special coins, and then you add your score, and then you can unlock more stuff to your little village. Because, yeah, there's a village thing in there. that you can add stuff to your screen. Basically, it's nice. It's a little mode that's pretty different, pretty quick. You can do the whole thing in like maybe 4 or 5 minutes at most. So there's a perfect little game to run when you wait for the bus or something. So pretty cool. And also they did a rebate on their in-app purchase. So right now, if you want to buy, before now, if you wanted to buy the whole game, it was $10 US on the US App Store. But until October 12th, I don't know if it's because they want to get like more sales or if whatever, but it's dropped to $5, so half price. So this is also per device. So basically, if you have an iPhone and you install the app and you buy the in-app purchase, then you also have to buy the in-app purchase for your iPads. So I might do that exact thing just to be sure.
Did you play Mario Run?
I did the first 2 or 3 worlds, sorry. Had some fun, but I don't play much anymore. And when I'm on my phone in the bus or whatever, I'm basically watch TV series. So not a big fan of those games that run by themselves. And whenever I had time to play, I was choosing Zelda over Mario. So maybe this winter will be different. I have a longer commute, so I'll probably have more time to play. So, and the last one, for you Star Trek fans, basically the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Discovery were released. Basically, for those who don't know, the way that this show is distributed is basically Netflix in the whole wide world, except in the US, where it has to go through the CBS All Access, which is another subscription service that is $6 per month with ads or $10 per month with no ads. So you already pay for your Netflix, which is about $10 a month. And then you also pay maybe for HBO, another $10 a month. Then you also have to add a CBS All Access for another $10 a month. So that's how they basically try to get more people to buy into their services. And for Canada, it's different. It's only on the Space Channel, so I think it's even worse. You cannot see the show unless you are a cable subscriber with the Space Channel in your package plan. So that's even worse. But yeah, there's a rant on Engadget that is exactly what I was thinking. Looking at the show, looking at the potential of this new TV series, it looks amazing. I've seen the first 2 episodes. I really like what I've seen yet. Star Trek has always been a show where societal debates were occurring. So they were the first television show where a white man kissed a black girl. They are also one of the first shows to display homosexual relationships. So everything that they usually do like that is not society shattering, but it's a values confrontation for many people, and it's always a way to expose something that is not really approved by society, and then trigger some kind of discussion around it. We're always using this show and those events for example of let's be more open, let's be more acceptant of our differences, and that's one of the reasons why Star Trek writing has always been quite well perceived. And by hiding the show behind so many paywalls, it's not a good thing, because people must be able to see that on TV, on Netflix, or whatever. They should be able to just jump on it and consume one episode, because there rarely are. They're mostly like episodic and not like the whole series as a single timeline, if you want. So they're easy to consume. So yeah, basically it's a pain in the ass to just see it, and it's not going to change for sure because CBS wants more money from that. But I don't know what good it will do. They will have a nice year for now, and as soon as the TV series is done, people will probably cancel their CBS All Access thing. So, anyways, so how did you like it?
Star Trek?
Yeah,
I've never watched Star Trek.
I know. You're a Star Wars guy. I actually was too, but at one point when I had the VHS of Star Wars and I've watched them like 20,000 times, I was craving for more. And that's where I stumbled across Star Trek Next Generation on TV. And I'm like, oh, it's like Star Wars, but different. And just because there was so much more content on Star Trek, I was able to watch a couple series, a couple of movies. At that time, there were already like 7 movies done or something. So I was able to get all those in. There was much more to consume. And I really love the abundance of content, basically, when compared to whatever we have with Star Wars, which was like 3 movies and that's it. Some weird Christmas special and a few cartoons here and there, but nothing great. So that's why I started as a fan of Star Wars, but became a Trekkie after that, and I really much more enjoy Star Trek now because there's so much more. Like now we start to have movies every year for Star Wars, and I love those, but still, it's not enough. There's no TV series for Star Wars except those things for kids. But like, I wished for more. I wish for like a 6 or 7 season TV series, maybe like spin-offs of Star Wars. Like there should be more.
I think that's what they're trying to do with the off, like the off years there with the weird episodes. Not the weird episodes, like the story, I think they call them. Whatever they call them.
Like Rogue One, which was the first one, which makes sense. But like, what about TV series? Like, I know everything is very recent for Disney, but I cannot understand why George Lucas and his crew did not try to leverage that amazing franchise before that. Like, since the episode 6 aired, we only got like 3 crappy movies over almost 30 years, 25 years, I think. So it makes no sense that they didn't want to use that interesting series of movie and make something out of it. I don't understand it. Moving on to Review Corner. Only one single review this week. I still have to write and record my GT M8 review. I can basically just summarize this little board. Basically, it's not as fun as I was hoping. I had high expectations, basically because I've ridden a lot a boosted board and a juice board, and these two types of boards are more powerful. The GTM8 will probably be better if you're somebody that is smaller or lighter. Kids or maybe a very tiny adult will probably enjoy it a lot more than me. With my size at 6 feet and 115 kilograms, the acceleration is not fast enough. The board doesn't offer enough power to be very, very fun. Once you're going full speed at 25-ish kilometers per hour, you do have quite a bit of fun because the board is small and it's very maneuverable. So you can do carving much easier than with a longboard, and you can turn corners much more rapidly. And so that's nice. The only thing I don't like is the power. If those little wheels had more powers like the juice board, it would have been so much fun, like not even comparable. So that's on the power side. The hill climbing, I did more tests. I found a hill that was 18%. I think that according to the specs, it's more than that it should allow. So just loader ma page spec. Yeah, according to the specs, it should be able to tackle 25 to 30% hill grades. Basically, that 18%, I was able only to go on it and to pass it while going full speed and then getting on the hill. If I was down the hill, starting from a plain level street and trying to go uphill, there was no way I was able to. So that 25% is not realistic for somebody like my size. So maybe for a kid, might be able to get more power of those little wheels. But yeah, it doesn't work that well. The comfort side of things also, I've ridden this board to go to work and back. It's maybe 3 minutes, and then I take the bus, and then it's another 10 minutes. So after those 10 minutes, the way the board is made, which is hardwood, it doesn't absorb any of the shocks. So knowing how the Montreal streets are laid out with all their holes, their cracks, and their rough pavement, they do have shock pads below the trucks, but it doesn't do nothing. It's basically very rough on the feet. So I got to work, and both of my feet were numb because of the vibrations that they were getting hammered on with. So on that side, this board would require some kind of dampening, probably bigger shock pads, maybe like a thicker shock pad, maybe a smoother grade for the polyurethane for the shock pads. The wheels are seems to be smooth enough. I don't think they say exactly. They don't tell what's their durometer rating, but they're probably. Yeah, I don't see anything on that website. They're probably smooth enough, but it's just that the pavement here is killing us. And compared to a boosted board, which can do the same travel, and I have basically no feeling at all when I got to the work, this tells me that the board is much better because of this flex. It allows to be a much more comfortable riding experience. So overall, when board, it's cheaper. It's $600 US. It's not cheap per se. It's still a lot of money. I don't think I would recommend this board for anybody that's an adult, or unless you're very skinny or very light. So that could work. But if you're just like large or heavy like me, I don't recommend it. There's much more better options on the market that are much more powerful than this. Like just look at the Riptide R1, which is a very recent board that was on Indiegogo recently. It's made by the same guy who made the Shred lights, which are lights attachment that you add to your e-boards. He's been doing those for I think more than a year and had tremendous success. So this guy is a surfer, and he basically said, let's try to make a board that is fun to ride, that is fun to carve in. And you can see when he's going on with other YouTubers, the way he makes his ride is super like carving constantly. So he made like a skateboard type with a kicktail, so it's as powerful as a boosted board, but it's $500. So that could be something more to look at. It's also made in the US, so it's probably easier for the shipping also. Moving on to the Nespresso Essenza Mini. This will be a quick review because it's basically an espresso machine, a small one, and it works. So there's not much to say. Like Nespresso, they make a bunch of machines. They have partnerships also with other companies to make machines. In this case, it's a very, very simple, very compact machine. It's super tiny. Basically, I was wondering if I could ever add something to my counter, where on the right side of my oven, I have my my kitchen knife block, and I have my Baratza Virtuoso grinder. And I maybe have like 2.5 inch left. So nothing could fit in there. Like no special machine could fit there. I would need to remove the knife block, and maybe even then still don't have place. But with this Nespresso Essenza Mini, it's so tiny that it does fit right next to the wall. It's perfectly straight in terms of length. So there's nothing protruding on the sides. And the water reservoir is on the back, so it fits perfectly. It's so tiny, if it's in there in the corner, it doesn't complain. And it's an espresso machine, so you have two buttons, one for an espresso and one for a luongo. And you basically just put the water in the back, you put the cup in the top, you lower the lever, and you just press the button, you're done. So it's a very nice machine. All the drip tray, everything's in plastic. There's no magnets like there was on other machines I tested in the past, like the Cities and the Nespresso U, which was also a compact machine, but this one is even smaller. So works as intended. You got the eco mode for I think it's 8 minutes and 30 minutes. So it's going to keep your water warm for that amount of time and then auto shut off. So there's no on switch. Basically, when you want a coffee, you just press once on any button, and then it's going to blink, heat the water, and when it's ready, you just press again and you'll get your drink.
I also think if you just open the thing to put a pot in and close it, it like automatically comes on and it's going to start flashing. You just wait like a couple seconds and you can press it.
Good thing I haven't tried this one yet.
That's how it works on mine anyways.
Okay, cool. So yeah, there's 3 colors for this very compact size, but there's actually 2 designs. So there's one other design which is more like not a pyramid, but like wider base and shorter top. So it's kind of like a triangle if you look at it from the front. And it has also 3 more colors in that shape. So if you have more space and you want to steal a cheap machine that is, I think it's $150, this is probably the one to get. If you need really something super small, then the one I have, which is a straight one, very, very small. Yeah, so I don't have the specs exactly to tell you how wide it is, but it's basically it's a bit narrower than my cappuccino cup from ACF, which is this defunct Italian company that were making cups for like 200 years or something and recently closed down. So I still have one espresso cup of theirs. If you look at my review, the links will be in the show notes. There's a video I did, which is extracting a Luongo multi-angles. So I had fun with Final Cut Pro and with my phone, my camera, and my GoPro, just to try to get 3 angles of an espresso, a Luongo extraction. So to get a feel for the noise and for the different angles, it's just fun to play with Final Cut Pro like that. I also have like an unboxing if you want. There's not much to it because it's a very simple machine, but you can also get a glimpse of the size of the machine from those videos.
And this one takes the old style cups.
Yes, it's the classic, they call it, not the virtual line cups. So this means that I can use my reusable cups. I've reviewed like in 2011 or 12, something like that, a bunch of Nespresso machine on Blog the Geek, my previous blog. And I also reviewed the Coffee Duck capsules, which are reusable cups. So basically you grind your own coffee, you put it in there and you just use it. Still need to get a hang of it. It's always a bit cumbersome at the first, just to get the proper quantity of coffee and the proper compactness. But it still works pretty fine. I bought like this Italian coffee for that, and it's pretty nice once you get the proper tempering done. So I'm thinking of maybe even buying like a specific temper made for that size. I don't know, it's been a while, but Reg Barber is a guy who makes tempers. I'll send you the link. So this guy makes custom-made tempers for any kind of machines. I have one of his tempers, which I used a long time ago when I was doing hand espressos. So it's a handheld pump device that you basically pump like a tire pump. You basically pump air in the machine, and then once you reach that little green zone on the meter, you just press a button and the air goes through your coffee and your water to get the extraction. So I have one of his wooden temper for that, and basically he makes like any types of shape, woods. You can even have like branded ones. Like the one I have was from a company in Montreal who was importing the Handpresso for distributing it in Canada, and he basically had his company logo like engraved in the wood. So if he doesn't have one for the Nespresso, I'm pretty sure I can send him a Coffee Duck capsule, and that's how he usually measures it and mills it from a solid block of aluminum, just like our friend Johnny Ives does. So I'll be able to get something out of that. All right, that's it for this week. This was RGBA episode number 65. You can find the show notes at rgba.fm/65. You can follow us on Twitter at _RGBAfm. And you can follow us specifically. I'm Vallier, VALLIERES.
And I'm Tyler Menard, TYLERMENARD. Oh, and since we're 65, do we get like special discounts at the movie theaters?
Woohoo! I hope so. Tuesdays half price.
Right, exactly.
All right, perfect. Let's use those.
Okay.
Have a nice week.
Have a nice week.